And you now set it with 20. How do you feel?
I'm just happy to get the win. I don't know. No. I just go out there and play the game. Some nights that mean I'm more aggressive with my shot, and some nights that mean I'm, more aggressive with the ball in my hands, making plays. So
thankful for my teammates.
Okay. Where is this coming from? Where is this going? This is going to be a very honest, very long overdue, something that just kind of crazy. I got to get it off my chest. This is an honest community. We have always been honest with each other. We have always explored the depths of our hearts. And when it comes to Fred VanVleet, this community is undefeated. I firmly believe that this community led the charge for all Fred VanVleet detractors. I believe this community was absolutely the loudest voice in terms of get Fred VanVleet off the team. And I need to say something that as of 8 minutes ago, Pensar Basketball is once again following Fred VanVleet on Instagram. And I need to talk about it because I don't follow a lot of accounts on Instagram. And it's not an apology. It's just a reflection. It's just a reflection. I got to talk about this. So over the last year, since Fred VanVleet has been gone, I've talked a lot about Fred. I wrote a very touching, I believe, very honest, good luck, in Houston type of post when he was announced. Obviously, we did a live stream, so y'all had that moment with me when it was announced that he was going to Houston, and I literally screamed louder than a kid at Christmas saying, yes, yes, yes. I was so happy that he was gone. And over the last year, as I talk more and more about him, I realized that I'm actually a much bigger Fred VanVleet fan than I initially thought. Obviously, respected the hell out of the guy in 2016, 2017, 2018. I can't say, he was ever my favorite player or anything like that, but I always had a lot of respect for him. And I had a lot of respect for him in the same way I had a lot of respect for DeMar, in the same way I had a lot of respect for Kyle, which is to say that they were tacticians, they were workers, they were guys who took their careers very seriously. And, when the Raptors signed Dennis Schroeder, and a lot of people, again, people who were very emotionally heated about what had happened with Fred, started saying Dennis was better than Fred, I started defending Fred, which felt very weird and out of character. If anything, I should be the first person saying, yeah, Fred's a bum, Fred's this, Fred's that. And, the last couple of times I've been on Player's Choice on the panel, every time I talk about Fred VanVleet, they say, there's no way you're a Fred VanVleet hater. You say so many nice things about this guy. And I'm like, look, I'm real. Like, he's a good player. I just don't like him. I don't like him. I think I've come to terms with the fact that, this is a very complicated thing, and I need to peel it back like an onion for about 20 minutes just to give full context and closure to this entire chapter. Because let's be honest, I made a lot of Fred VanVleet content in his last year here. Uh, I think 90% of it was absolutely negative. It turned away a lot of people, and I'm not really trying to get anybody back. I don't really care if you left, you left. You're probably never coming back. It doesn't matter. This is more for me. It's always been, to be honest and square with myself. And nice one saying, "Forget Fred, bro." No, 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 no. I'm not asking for him back. I'm very happy that he's in Houston, and I wish him good luck there. And I, pray and hope that the young players there will benefit from his experiences over here. This isn't about that. This is more about just stop. Like, I think everyone is trying to get ahead of me right now. Just try to get behind me for 5 seconds and just give me a moment to land this plane, okay? My biggest issue with Fred VanVleet was how Fred was covered, number one, and what Fred VanVleet did in his final year here in terms of what I consider like the bet on yourself for the contract. Now, we just saw this year, we saw a player that, in my opinion, did the opposite of Fred. He didn't bet on himself. He was very, tolerant of his bench role. He was very tolerant of diminished minutes. And that was Gary Trent Jr., right? And we're seeing Gary Trent Jr. now toiling in obscurity, waiting for a contract, and we're on July 14th. So we are now we're almost 3 weeks from when free agency discussions could have begun, and Gary Trent Jr. is homeless. And I think in another world, I'm not saying Fred VanVleet would be nearly in the same situation, but had Fred VanVleet just settled for an off ball role and continued to struggle the way that he was struggling, he may have ended up in a similar situation, which would have also meant that he would have cost his family potentially $100 million, right? Come on. Lance saying, "Rob trying to sleep, brain, make that Fred VanVleet video." It's nothing like that, guys. My issue with Fred ultimately came down to over leveraging, himself, putting himself above the team, and I feel the team suffered for it, right? It is easy, however, to realize that he wasn't the only problem. The problem is the system that we exist in the NBA, right? I mean, we've all watched ESPN, we've all watched JJ Redick podcast, we've all listened to shitty basketball takes. And in the end, you'd be crazy to think that the numbers don't matter, right? That the numbers are not what these guys are getting paid to do. It's a shitty world, right? Great players. Like, look at a guy like Jeff Doughton, team guy, never makes a sound. And what's going on with Jeff, right? He's in a shit situation. Did Jeff ever come out and just gun for 18, 20 shots? But I guarantee you, if he makes those shots, someone's looking at him like they could be like he could be a backup point guard. I wish that goodness was rewarded more in the NBA. I wish being selfless was rewarded more. But frankly, there's a lot of selfless guys in the NBA who didn't want to disrupt things, who didn't want to, who didn't want to play the politics, who just wanted to come in and fit in and be the guy. And, they didn't want to take over anything. They didn't want to compete. They didn't want to edge anyone out. They didn't have that dog. And unfortunately, it's a cruel world. And Fred VanVleet is a symptom of that, not the creator of it, though. I think the creators of it are the people who sign the contracts, the people who hand out these awards, the people who debate that one guy is better than another guy because he averaged more points, more assists, more minutes, right? I think the real creators of this world that we live in are the people who vote on All-Star based on numbers as opposed to impact, right? And so I say this. I don't think Fred VanVleet's a bad dude. There's a lot of conversations that I've had with people in his circle where I think people were really genuinely pissed off with me over the years. And this is like a shout out to Doc and a shout out to Armis and a shout out to all those people who really came at me, and we went back and forth for a while about, hey, like, you're presenting this guy like he's a really bad dude because of what's happening in the context of the team. But hey, look at who he was at Wichita State. Look at what he does for Rockford. Look at what he does for the community. And, I said it a long time ago when I said I was supporting Scotty. It was like, you know what? At the end of the day, we're supporting millionaires over billionaires. Typically, if you understand the culture, if you understand what I'm about, if you understand me as a human being, you understand that I'm really very much an athlete first person. I'm always going to be athlete first as opposed to organization first. My mentality leans me towards the athlete, and it always has. And I think that a lot of people who've communicated with me even off the record, away from this channel, would understand that about me very, very much so that, it is always about the athlete's experience. And so, of course, I want these guys to get paid. I want them to take care of their families. I want them to be able to put that money back into the community. I do care that that money is going from a very rich billionaire conglomerate, which is largely owned by, white people, and it's going back into, the Black community. This stuff matters to me. It's always mattered to me. It's a big reason why I support Scotty the way I have, because I believe that, the world needs more billionaires with a conscience, right? I think we need more deep pocketbooks from people who've experienced the struggle, who can actually communicate and empathize with that and then push back into that. And so, it would never ever, if it were not for the Scotty component of it, if it were not for the, the chucking and the stat padding that Fred VanVleet did, it would never occur to me for a second to root against the guy wanting to get paid, especially when the paycheck is being written by someone like Raphael Stone, right? Or gosh, who is the owner in Houston? Whoever the hell it is, I cannot remember right now. Tillman Fertitta, right? So those people. So to me, good luck to Fred VanVleet. I am ready to move on. I hope that the people in this community, especially people who rallied behind me, and we won. It's over. He left. Scotty's the guy. We wanted a team built around Scotty. It happened. We wanted a culture of good vibes. It happened. We wanted, ball movement. We wanted away from that stuff. That's Nick Nurse, bro. I think Nick Nurse played a much bigger part, and you will not see a video like this about Nick Nurse ever, because that support that was there for Fred VanVleet is not there for Nick Nurse. So to me, you had a guy who was a coach who was going into guys' ears, and that was Pascal, Fred, OG, whoever. And he was saying, if you want to do this, you got to do this. You want to get this money, you got to do this. And they're listening. And I'm not saying Fred VanVleet is innocent in all of this. He obviously knew what he was doing. But in the end, you're asking a guy to take possibly $60 million less, $50 million less, to do what? To help Scotty grow. He chose to do it his way. That's cool. Okay. That's absolutely fine. I'm ready to move on. I love the vibe in Raptorland right now. And you know what? I'm looking at guys like Jamal Shed. I don't know if y'all realize this. Jamal Shed, Emmanuel Quickley, and Davion Mitchell. You know who these guys all look up to? Get them in a room and ask them a question. How do you feel about Fred VanVleet? They would all tell you he's a hero for us, right? Undersized guy. Let's reframe this. Let's revise this a little bit. He's one of the biggest success stories in Raptors history. He's an undrafted guy. Right now, the Raptors have a whole bunch of second-round picks, right? They have 3 second-round picks and an undrafted guy. If any of them hit half the career value of Fred VanVleet, you consider it the biggest success ever, right? So let's not let the end completely taint the entire story. It wasn't always like this. It started with the G League, then it went to the bench mob, and it went to a championship, and went to a busted tooth, and went to guarding Steph Curry in the finals. I think all of that was great. Okay. It resulted in an all-star berth for Fred VanVleet. One of very few undrafted guys to ever make an all-star team. You go look at all the second round picks in the last 30 years. Fred VanVleet's had a career better than 99% of them, right? You need to give the time. I think over some period of time, all wounds heal, right? To those of you who were there with me, frustrated night after night as he bet on himself and gunned over, ignored his teammates, over leveraged himself, thought he was the guy when he wasn't the guy, when he was shooting like 32% from the field for extended periods of time, when he was missing 3 after 3 after 3, and you thought to yourself, my God, this guy is making my eyes bleed as a basketball fan. Yes, I agree with you, but guess what? Not here anymore. He played really well for the Houston Rockets last year. Credit where credit is due. How many guys do you know that got paid so much more than they were worth and responded to that by not only, maintaining their level of play, but actually elevating their level of play? He was a huge part of what went right for the Houston Rockets last year. Credit where credit is due. The young kids in Houston grew last year. Credit where credit is due. Okay. He is not some black hole of culture development. he communicated really well with with Ime Udoka. Like I think they had a partnership to turn that around. And G Man saying shout out to the blankie. Yeah, exactly. Look, what I want to say is holding on to hatred for anybody, whether it be someone that you love in your real life or whether it's someone on TV, none of these is never going to make your life better. It's never going to make your life more positive. Negativity never makes your life more positive. If this channel led a brigade against Fred VanVleet, I'm not sitting here telling you I'm over proud of it. I will, however, stand by the fact that at the time I believed it was relevant. It wasn't even as much a brigade against Fred VanVleet as it was a brigade against how Fred VanVleet was covered, how much it made me upset, how his mistakes were never ever questioned by the media. I felt it was important to be a balance or a counterbalance to what I felt was a massive imbalance in how a player was being covered. And obviously, he was being covered that way because most of our media is looking eye to eye with an undrafted free agent that they have a lot of, empathy for and maybe fondness for. And Masai Ujiri, and again, I've had a lot of conversations off the record that I'm not able to share on here. There's DMs that I said I was going to leak because I was so pissed off at Fred VanVleet and stuff. I'm not going to leak those because honestly, nobody wins in that situation. Only I lose and potentially get a lawsuit for it. What I want to say is that I'm ready to move on. It's a beautiful time to be a Raptor fan right now. You got a young core, you got a solid vet, you got several solid vets on this team. Kelly Olynyk, you know, Jakob Pertl, Garrett Temple. These are the right vets for Scotty. These are the right vets for Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett. These are the right vets to communicate the message. I'm happy with our coach, even though he gets trolled endlessly. And there's a lot of people calling for his job and who think he can't coach. I'm happy with him. I'm happy with the youth. I'm happy with our young players. And frankly, if we end up drafting top 8, top 9 next year because the whole thing falls apart, then I don't believe they're going to be bad ever again after next year. This is the final year of what I think could be a bad year. I mean, even though I expect this to be better than most people think, this is the last year of it. And then it's clear sailing ahead. It's Scotty, it's IQ, really hard workers, really good guys, being coached by, several coaches that really know what they're doing when it comes to ball movement and the future of the league and how the league is trending. I just hope that over time, we can learn to maybe let go of some of the contractual bullshit that came in the way of Fred, Pascal, OG, etc. I know this community has supported OG because, I think I have supported OG endlessly. But I was really happy for OG getting paid $212 million. The guy's a really hard worker, and I felt he was underpaid through his entire Raptor career. Good for him for getting the bag. Good for Pascal Siakam getting the bag. I think a lot of people were very upset with me, when I was, calling Pascal not a superstar, not a whatever. I still think he's very, very good player, and I'm happy he got paid, and Fred got paid too. I feel that from the perspective as a Raptor fan who watched the championship run, who watched all the failed attempts at a championship, I'm happy that those guys got paid on the one hand, got paid what I think they deserve. I'm also happy they're not necessarily on this team right now because OG Anunoby at $212 million, even though he's one of my favorite players, would scare the living crap out of me. It's not really on our timeline. And I'm just ready to embrace this new chapter of Raptor basketball, a new chapter which includes Jonathan Mobo, which includes Jamal Shed, which includes Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett. It's not all one guy. This channel has been often branded as the Scotty hype channel or whatever. No, this channel is very much pro good basketball. It just so happened that a couple of years ago, it felt like Scotty was the only beacon of hope for good basketball. Well, now it seems like a lot of the players that I wasn't super thrilled with are gone. Gary is gone. Okay. I like Gary as a person, but Gary, the basketball player, drove me crazy sometimes. He's gone. We are prioritizing playmakers, movement, everyone that you hear, every person who's covering Summer League right now, they write back to me and say, these guys are so good. They're just such good people. They're so lovely to be around. They're so giving. They're so jovial. They're so light. It's a stark contrast from people who were covering this team 2 years ago who were in the locker room feeling like, did I just walk into a funeral? Things went very bad. I think a lot of us had our ideas of who to scapegoat for that. I think a lot of people could say it was Nick Nurse. Some people could say it was Fred. Some people could say it was Pascal. Some people could say it's somebody else. Some people could say it's Gary. Some people could say it's people around the team. Some people could say it's the media. No matter who you blamed, no matter who you held responsible for that, some people turned it around and said it was me. They're like, oh man, you're creating so much disturbance and so much shit in Raptorland. These guys are reading what you're saying and they're all turning on each other. I don't think that's true, but if that was true, okay, sure. We are through that. We are in a new chapter of Raptors basketball. We are on the precipice of a rebrand. It is going to be a very cool rebrand. I'm ready to move on. I hope you will move on with me. Give this video a like, subscribe for sure. Dennis is gone. Fred is gone. Dennis, I don't have as much empathy for. I'll be honest. I never liked Dennis that much. And you know, to me, it's like Dennis was just annoying. But there's this old saying that if you hate somebody, it's probably because you loved them at some point. I loved Fred VanVleet, the story. I loved Fred VanVleet, the player, the undrafted guy who worked his ass off. I hope Jamal Shed takes after Fred VanVleet, and then maybe he has a different mentality when it comes to his contracts. But man, I hope every player on this team works the way Fred VanVleet did, right? I hope every player on this team perfects their craft and milks every iota of juice and potential that they have from their from their athleticism. Because you know, you're looking at this team right now. You're seeing guys like Jacoby Walter. You're seeing guys like Grady Dick. You're seeing guys like Uri Shamshay and Jonathan Mobo and even Jamal Shed. Every one of these guys has more athletic gifts than Fred VanVleet ever did. All of them. So if they will work as hard as he did, you'll be a championship contender in 3 years, right? We don't take this for granted. And I do think that it is important, right? Fred VanVleet did put a lot into this community. He put a lot into this, into his game, into his, you know, and the Raptors benefited from it. If you think of wins added as a direct correspondence to dollars spent, Fred VanVleet is one of the best deals in Raptors history in terms of what he provided, in terms of wins analytically, relative to the dollars that you paid him. He's one of the best deals in Raptors history. I venture to think if I go back, he might be the best deal in Raptors history. Do we really get upset that he wanted to finally be paid fairly for it? I don't think so. So, look, I'm ready to move on. Obviously, the Raptors organization has moved on. We are all, you know, but again, from time to time, I see references to Fred. And, you know, even if someone is trying to bring up something that he's doing with the Raptors, there's always like 100 Raptor fans saying, F that guy, F that guy. And for me, my conscience, I always wonder, are one of those people or 5 of those people or 10 of those people still upset about something that I said, still upset about something I made, still upset about a video that I made or an interview that I broke down? I don't want to be responsible for hate. Okay. Honestly, my entire objective from the start was for the Raptors to shift culture. They did. It was for the Raptors to build around Scotty, to make sure that Scotty felt supported and that he was not swimming upstream all the time, because it felt at times in his second year that he was swimming upstream, that he was not happy with the style of basketball we were playing, and he was absolutely right. Well, guess what? The organization saw it, ownership saw it, Masai saw it, Bobby saw it, Tolzman saw it, the coaching staff was changed, people came in, he is happy. Scotty Barnes is a happy dude right now. He is signed for 5 years. He will be on the Raptors for the next 6 years. I do not see them trading him unless he asks out. You've got young teammates coming in that all vibe with him. He's got his best friend here. Scotty is secure. Scotty's good. Scotty's a happy guy. I hope that over time, we as a community can learn to think of Fred and Pascal and the messy chapter that was. I hope we can learn to be happy for them. I'm very happy that when Pascal came back, that everybody was, you know, wearing those 43 jerseys. If you follow us on Twitter, I think I was the first person to say that that would be a really good idea, and the Raptors did it. I'm not saying they did it because I said it was a good idea. I'm just saying I said it before it happened. So it's all peace. It's all peace at this point. I'm really happy that Fred got paid. I'm happy he's not on my team. I'll be happy to root against him when he plays the Raptors. But I'm going to say this. I'm just going to say this for the record. I'll be rooting for him when he's not playing on the Raptors. And that's not something that I thought I was going to say 2 years ago or even a year ago. But the heart heals, as the mind progresses, the heart heals, you move on, you get over stuff. And hopefully, if you can get past what it was, which was a business decision for his family, which came at the expense of basketball, which you can have some feelings about, and I can definitely have some feelings about, and Lord knows I did. But we are seeing what a not so great player, who had a tough shooting season on a bad team like Gary Trent Jr. is going through right now. He will be lucky to get the mid-level exception. So he's not going to get the 15 million the Raptors offered. He's not going to get the 25 million he wanted. So what would have happened to Fred VanVleet if he had stayed on that off-ball role? We don't know. Maybe he would have been a mid-level guy. The gap between mid-level, especially after taxes, after agent fees, and whatever, the gap between mid-level and what he took, it's endless. So good move. I think we could all learn a little bit from Fred VanVleet. Hopefully we can also learn the other side, which is to say, to be compassionate, to be, more a better teacher and whatever. And you know what? The crazy thing is, in every interview he's done, whether he's directly said it or not, he has accepted that things did not go well. He has accepted that he was at least part of it. He's never come out and said, I was an asshole and everybody hated me. He didn't say that. I don't even think that's true. But he has accepted that he has learned from it and moved on. And I hope for his younger teammates on the Rockets that that is true. And I hope for Reed Shepherd and Amen Thompson and Jalen Green that he is a supportive and, solid leader. It's certainly, I'll tell you this, just as someone who's played basketball, it's very inspiring to see somebody like him who's gotten to that level, given the fact that he had to fight such an uphill battle to get there. Undrafted dudes, second round picks in general, do not get opportunities in the NBA. You'd be very lucky to carve out a rotation spot. You have no idea how hard you have to work to even get the opportunity he got, much less to excel at that opportunity, get a second contract, get a third contract, and then get maxed out. Like, this is crazy. It's a crazy story. It's one that is for the record books. Ben Wallace never got paid this much. He signed the richest contract for an undrafted free agent ever. And I think that is something that Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, and these guys who identified him, who signed him, can be proud of. I think it is something that we as Toronto Raptor fans who watched him grow from player year 1, 2, 3, 4 can be proud of. I don't think you have to gaslight yourself and forget all the bad stuff. You can forget it. You don't have to forget it. But I hope over time you will forgive it and move on. Some quick comments. E-Tricks. Houston won't pick up his $43 million option. I wonder what his real value will be. I think his real value will be 25 to 30 million. You'd be surprised at the next contract he gets. MO saying 4 a.m. talking about Fred VanVleet. Holy, get some help, bro. I'm good. Thank you very much. If Fred VanVleet didn't get signed for that amount, do you think they would have maxed Şengün already? No, I don't think that those two things have anything to do with each other, because Şengün's contract and Jalen Green's contract kick in exactly when Fred VanVleet's contract kicks out. So it's not the same thing. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. I'm looking forward to reading all the vitriol and crazy comments that I get on this video tomorrow. All right, cool. See ya. Bye.